Alright guys, Kremp again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Dashy has for one of the first times really sat down and delved into exactly what it means to him to win this year's World Championship, and especially what it's going to mean for his performance in the upcoming season. Dashy says after winning champs this year, the overwhelming emotion was that of relief, and for the upcoming season, Dashy feels like he's now free to perform as he wants to and potentially become the best version of himself as a player that he's ever been. So far in Black Ops 6, it's looking pretty damn good for Dashy in OpTic Scrims. Is that going to maintain when they get to the real deal? Very much interested your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Shout out Zuma by the way as well, running some sub-8s over the last couple of days. I think this is a great thing for the scene really, just because we know that Bance made his thoughts known the other day on the state of challenges, especially the under 18 sub. I think that's a big problem to me. You look at other esports, players can play from a young age. Now, okay, the game might be an 18 or whatever, but you know, back in the day, pros could play tournaments. I mean, let's say Kenny, Donny Temp, Envoy, obviously famously Hook and TJ and other players like this, you know, they were 14, 15 playing pro tournaments back in Advanced Warfare, stuff like that before the age restriction came in. But even then, in challenges in Tier 2, you could play, you know, you still can play S&D tournaments and stuff under 18, but you can't play an official CDL challenges till you're 18, which is, you know, it kills so many careers, I would say, before they've even begun. So the idea of doing sub-8s and, you know, working with younger players, giving them opportunities to grow and develop, I think is a really big deal, and commending Zuma for trying to help that happen in some way. There's also this interesting update yesterday, so I'm not really sure why Treyarch are feeling the need to do this, but again, this might come down from Microsoft. I think this is the problem with COD nowadays, and it's kind of always been the problem with COD, but certainly over the last few years. The developers, I don't think, have the freedom to make the decisions that they want to, and I think this is one other example, because in ranked play for Black Ops 6, crossplay will always be on. There's nothing you can do about it. You will always be playing against players from any potential device. So if you're a PC player, you can have console players in your lobby, but crucially, if you're a console player, you can have PC players in your lobby. And I just don't really see why this is necessary. But if, you know, many pro players have decided over the last season, because hackers are everywhere in ranked, to say, okay, we're going to get a PS5, Pro, whatever, I don't know, the latest consoles are, and go and play COD on there instead. And that's worked very well for the likes of, you know, Havoc, for example, did this well last season. He went over to console, played ranked on there, it was a great experience. No hackers, obviously, within reason, compared to what you get on PC. And for some reason, they're just taking this away. It seems like on Xbox, there might be a way to just turn off crossplay in the settings, but I don't know how that will work, because what if people have it on the PC but through the Game Pass? Then what does that look like? I don't really know, but I think these players, and like, I'm not really sure why they're making these decisions. My feeling is it's got to be a Microsoft thing to try and make everything kind of combine. I don't really know why Treyarch would do this themselves, and just the idea of like forcing any gameplay feature at times feels very unnecessary, and this is one more example that is not going to make the experience better for many in the league. There was another scrim set last night, so of course the SGB Syndicate team, that's Exceed & Co, they played Gentlemate in a scrim. Kind of cool to see as well that, you know, we've got other Gentlemate accounts happening here. Obviously that roster is Kismet, Priestahh, Skyz, and then Lynz. So there is some French representation on that team, and they won every single map. Now this is an impressive result and an impressive start, because the SGP Syndicate team has been competitive against many pro teams. They're still a Challengers team on some level. I mean, it's what, DiamondCon, Fame, Yuli, and Exceed. It's still a Challengers level team, but they've been scrimming Boston, they've been scrimming others, and they've been very competitive. A couple of days ago now, it turns out Gentlemates scrimmed those guys, and they won every single map. The Skyline was close, the Vault was kind of close, but every other map was pretty dominant. 250-162, 249-128, 228-96 on the red card. Now, of course, Hassy is coming out at some point, but Hassy-Ender's not arriving until the middle of December. I know there's lots of hope about Frequency, about Arsenal, bringing those maps back as well. Certainly Dashy would be super down to have lots of the Black Ops 4 maps come back into play, but interesting to see Gentlemate, and I think it's fascinating to really watch this team with no HyDra, right? Because Lynz has got to be the new HyDra, there's pressure on, but equally, HyDra was set up to succeed on some level by the rest of the guys in that team. Maybe they'll take a slightly different approach now, and we'll see. I'm not massively high on the Gentlemates roster, but I like what they've done in theory, at least bringing on a French SMG player to try and lead the line. They tried to get HyDra, they tried to get Scrap. That obviously never happened because LA Thieves could match the offer, and therefore they've gone down this alternate route. But so far it's looking reasonably good for their success. But let's talk about Dashy and, well, his future really, because he was on the Flycast, I think for the first ever time over the last couple of days, and was given his thoughts on various topics, certainly how he's feeling going into the new season, right? Because OpTic, the reigning world champions, they went to the World Cup, did pretty well, eventually they go down, FaZe win the tournament, but OpTic, they get the bragging right of the season as the world champions, and Dashy has been playing COD for a very long time, has been playing competitive COD for a very long time. I mean, he came back into the scene, we're talking 2017, really, we're talking like 8 years now, Dashy has been a professional player. It still feels like Dashy is one of the younger guys in the league, but by the numbers, that's not true anymore. And I still think he's got plenty of gas left in the tank. Of course, we've talked about, well, if Dashy wants to call it a day, maybe he could go to Valorant. But I think what he says in a second is quite telling really of what his mindset actually is, because there's an argument both ways. Dashy won the World Championship this year. There was so much pressure on him to finally do it, with all the discussion over the last few years, and even admits that in this podcast episode, that there were definitely decisions he was making in and outside of the game that he realised were not helping his win as much as he could have done. I think he said post-Vanguard, when they won an event in Vanguard, sure, but Dashy was like really good that year by the numbers, right? He had like, basically MVP candidates alongside Cellium. There was some argument Dashy should have been MVP that year. Cellium, I think, eventually won it with FaZe, despite the fact that FaZe didn't win an event. It was controversial. Maybe it still is today, whatever. But Dashy said after that season, yeah, he played well, but he realised that at the end of the day, they won one event that season with Dashy playing that well, and he recognised that he had to try some other things if he wanted to actually win. Because there's only so many years that you can turn up to the World Championship and lose before it really starts to get to you, especially when you've got the talent to win the World Championship and to be, a potential World Championship winning MVP player and cement your legacy in that way. And everyone talks about that in the community, and yet it's not happened. That's why, there's been lots of discussion here. So Dashy, especially over, I think, the last 2 years, really locked in a different way, and even changed his playstyle, maybe changed his tactics outside of the game as well. Into, obviously we've talked about work ethic and commitment and these type of questions with Dashy as well in the past. But, I remember this clip vividly. I think I watched this live when Dashy got this 3-piece against aBeZy back at the Infinite Warfare World Championship, and I was like, wow, this guy is legit, and we finally got to see it over the coming years. So Dashy changed his playstyle for the most recent season, was much more hill orientated, and Dashy's POV that he mentioned in the podcast was like, look, sure, I can be the Slayer and I can be the best in the game at doing that. If I want to be the hill guy, I can be the best in the game at doing that. That's Dashy's mindset, and if that's what it takes to win, then that's what he did, and they went on to win the World Championship, of course. The mindset goes two ways. Either Dashy wins champs and decides, all right, I've accomplished it, right? Like, I've won all I want to win, and I've won the events that I needed to win. I've won multiple majors now. I'm now a world champion. It's not like he has accolades like, let's say Formal or maybe his idols in that kind of the Dynasty roster, but he's still achieved a lot now. And, would he be able to retire and hang up the sticks happily after getting this victory? Maybe on some level, yes. The other school of thought, though, is to say that no, Dashy, after winning champs and that weight off his shoulders, is now going to be an even stronger player, because he knows that, compared to the likes of Formal, he needs to win more. And now he's got, the relief of getting over the line there and disregarding all the critics and what they've said about him over the last few years and changing as a player where he's needed to get the victory. Now it's going to unlock him even more to have, maximum confidence to go on and succeed more so in the future.
I've seen you've been walking around just being different lately. Like something about your aura.
It's a champ's aura.
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Was that such a big relief
That's exactly
off your shoulders?
It was more relief than just excitement, elation, more than anything else. It was more relief just because I feel like every year when you lose it over and over, and then you always wonder, like, damn, like, you only really have one try every single year at it. Like, you wonder if you're ever, damn, am I meant to win this shit?
Yeah, like, how many years in were you before you got that? Like, 7 or something?
Yeah. Well, it was technically my 8th champs, but it was, like, my 7th actual, like, full champs, because I only played that MW year where I spun it for a map for Game 5. they technically kept the champ streak going, but I only played 7 actual champs.
And you were like, damn, am I ever gonna
That's
get one of
literally-
these? Like, that has to just eat at you.
It does, because I remember.
Well, I mean,
thinking,
for the
like,
regular player, I feel like it doesn't really. But for someone like you, who everyone's expecting to get a fucking ring and everyone knows is good enough to get one, after just so many like unfortunate circumstances, like it has to just start. And I think you could tell sort of as your career progressed, you've gotten sort of like more and more locked. And like more serious, and I think you could just sort of see it was taking a toll on you. But since you won, I feel like you've been like smiling in content, walking around here, just
less attitude.
Yeah,
That's because
showing up and shit.
Showing up to content.
Yeah, just showing up. Actually,
No, I mean, winning champs is, especially just playing for OpTic. Like, it was always just a dream of mine, just at least to fucking get to a final or to a Sunday. Because I swear, all the champs that we've played recently that I could remember is just insane heartbreaks. We're losing in movie ways, and then it was just getting annoying.
It is crazy that we've never placed second at champs. I'm almost positive.
Oh, really?
OpTic has never placed second at champs.
Yeah, it's either first, third, fourth, sixth. Everything else but the second.
Everything else but second, because like.
So it definitely does feel like Dashy is bringing maybe a slightly different energy into this year than he did before, and even admits it. He was like, yeah, after winning champs, massive relief. And we know that he didn't play the best at champs, really, certainly in the grand finals. But and I think probably Dashy was feeling the pressure more than any of the other guys. Kenny had won it before, Shotzzy had won it before, Pred, only in his first couple of years as a player, really. So obviously we know how Pred's confidence tends to be. But for Dashy, he's been to the World Championship like 8 times, not won it ever. Not even made the Grand Finals ever, right? So that's why this one seemed a little different, and we can see it as well here, right? So Dashy went to the World Championship in 2017, came top 16 with Straight Rippin'. The next year it was top 16 again with Complexity. Then he was 3rd with OpTic. Then he didn't really play the World Championship in MW, of course. He kind of did, but well, he didn't really, because he subbed in 1 game for Kenny, didn't he? For OGLA with the sniper on Piccadilly, because he was benched and they brought him in for that 1 map. So he didn't really play at that tournament. Cold War, he was top 6 with Chicago, top 4 in 2022, top 6 in 2023. So, all of these results for Dashy, I mean, were just pretty bad compared to his potential. And then this year, of course, he finally won it. And based on early results here in Black Ops 6, Dashy's looking really good. If you watch the scrims over the last few days that we have seen broadcast, this is Dashy here with the 37 in 25 map on the Protocol, 33 in 23 on the ReeaL against Miami the other day. Like, he's been looking very, very impressive. And yet, they didn't win the K-San tournament, but they were very close. They beat Thieves. They then lost them in the finals. And Dashy's been looking like one of the best ARs in the game so far, and absolutely an MVP candidate, as it seems early on. The way that this game plays, the amount of shots you have to kill, and just the design of things in general, really, I think, seems to suit Dashy's play. And it seems like he's more confident than ever that this year is going to be a spectacular year for him individually again. And, we've heard Octane talk about this, and even I think Formal made it especially clear that Formal thinks he might be right now the best player that he's ever been. And just because he's learned so much, maybe from like a pure skill perspective, he was better compared to the opposition a few years ago. But Formal says that, yeah, I've learned so much in my career that he either is in his prime or hasn't yet reached it. And I think the same could be true for a guy like Dashy that has been around so long that, is his skill any worse now than it was 5 years ago? I wouldn't say so. And, if you take that for granted, then Dashy's got to be a much stronger player now than he was back then with everything that's happened outside of the game as well. But very much on Twitter, your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.